The Emotional Jesus, written and narrated by Richard Hostetler. Copyright 2020 by Book Baby Publishing. For permission requests, write Richard Hostetler at the following email address: theemotionaljesus@mediacombb.net. Chapter 1. The Reason and the Revelation of this book. Life's journey takes each of us through a wide range of experiences, from the spring of birth and growth to the dark winter of death and separation. A single lifetime contains seasons of great joy and energy, contrasted with times of despair. How we respond to these fluctuating emotions makes our life journey as unique as our own set of fingerprints. Where's God in the changing seasons of our lives? More importantly to most of us is, where is God and what is He doing when we are overwhelmed and struggling with unmanageable emotions? Why does God allow bad things to happen to good people? Why does He allow the innocent to suffer injustice? Isn't God our deliverer? Isn't He supposed to be our protector? Doesn't He care? Doesn't Scripture say He is a father to the fatherless and a defender of those who are weak? If you're asking these kinds of questions, or if you've felt abandoned and alone, you are in good company. Men and women of the Bible, such as Elisha, King David, Job, and the Apostle Paul, also struggled and questioned. And in the last season of his life, Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Sometimes hardship and crises in life are just way too much to handle. How then will we make it through? How will we survive? Sometimes all we can do is agree with Paul when he said, we were burdened excessively beyond our strength, so that we despaired even of life. Indeed, we had the sentence of death within ourselves, so that we would not trust ourselves, but in God who raises the dead. 2 Corinthians chapter 1. I admit that this verse is not very comforting to me when I am in the depths of great despair and hopelessness. But it is true we are likely to face things or seasons in this life that are more than we can handle. Nowhere in Scripture did the Lord ever promise that His children would be unaffected by the evil of a fallen world. But He did assure us that He'd always be with us, no matter what we experience. This book emerged out of my struggles over the past 6 years, questioning who is God and where is He in the difficulties and chaos that my clients were describing to me. They continually asked me questions that I was sure only God could answer. I wanted to help them, but in many cases I couldn't. As I desperately sought God's help in ministering to these traumatized people, I began to get fascinating glimpses into the man Jesus. This was not an easy journey. The Lord took me to some horrendous, extremely disturbing places as I listened to my clients report their life stories. Imagine listening to someone describing in detail a childhood memory of how they were forced to kill another child and then blamed for that slaughter, or how they were buried alive because they didn't obey properly. No wonder their lives were so tangled and confused. There were many times I had no idea what I was supposed to do, and I wanted to run away. I was well aware that they would run away too, if they could. Eventually I came to realize that the Lord was never afraid to walk with me and with my clients in this painful journey. But I'm getting ahead of the story. I have a prayer ministry to emotionally wounded people who desperately need a healing touch from Jesus. For years, clients would tell me they were emotionally stuck and no one understood. I would pray with them and encourage them to believe Jesus could make a difference where no one else could. After all, I would share, isn't He the one Isaiah described as the wonderful counselor, mighty God, and Prince of Peace? As is common in prayer ministry sessions, I would invite Jesus into their pain, to be their counselor, to bring His peace. I would encourage the hurting person in front of me to just receive His living presence with them in their painful memories. But the all too common responses were, Jesus didn't have to go through what I went through. He didn't ever have someone sexually abuse Him. He didn't have a daddy who was drunk all the time. Jesus didn't
Sample complete. Ready to continue?